The Thunderbolts. I finally had the chance to watch this film. I did it on Mother's Day weekend. I went with my wife. She wanted to watch it, so we went together. We had a blast, I can tell you that. But it's been a week, and during last week, I have the opportunity to think about the things that I watched there, the things that I like about the film, things that I didn't like so much, and also to consider its place in the pantheon of films of the MCU. Is this a good addition to it? It's one of the greatest. It's another one of the bunch. Before I get into the good things about the film, the things that I personally like about it, I gotta mention that I was honestly skeptical about this film when it was announced. First, because I'm a fan of the Thunderbolts, of the original comics, and I wasn't sure that Marvel, in this case Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, the Disney, could really pull it off because of a little bit of the edges of the Thunderbolts. Of course, it's this team, the original team, of villains disguised as superheroes. But the difference with the Suicide Squad is that these guys are bad on the DC Universe. They're terrible bad. They're villains that are just trying to get out of jail, that get out of jail card, through whatever they have to do, whatever mission they have. But the Thunderbolts, they actually are villains that they are pretending to be superheroes. For me, the biggest highlight of the film is the cast. And from them, I think the most important members are the ones that really pull it off more than anyone else. Is Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, and of course David Harbour as the Red Guardian. Of course, they are back from the previous film where they worked together in the Black Widow film, which a lot of people were not necessarily satisfied with the film. I enjoyed it. I think it was a good film. Perhaps too late into the roster of films, but it's still a good film. And having them in their combination and their interaction, father and daughter, and how dysfunctional the relationship is, makes it so worth to watch. You know, that's the thing. I think that was the biggest part. Florence Pugh, she has a lot of weight in her persona as an actress. She's a fantastic actress. She can portray emotion. She can also have the black comedy that follows her, the way that she delivers the lines. I think she is phenomenal. And of course, she's dealing with depression. She's dealing with a lot of things, of course, with the loss of her sister, but also carrying the weight of the world because of the things that she has gone through and the things that she has to do in order to survive. And all of that is really injected into the film, into her persona. And David Harbour, of course, this guy who has fallen from grace in so many ways, and he's still trying to live to his old glories. And he's very dysfunctional, but also David can deliver those lines. The comedic elements that in his character and the way he delivered those lines are just phenomenal. We also get the chance to watch Sebastian Stan back as the Winter Soldier, as Bucky Barnes. And I will tell you, at this point, Sebastian deserves his own movie in the MCU because he's been carrying the weight of the Winter Soldier for a long time as Bucky Barnes. And he did, of course, on the first Avenger, the Winter Soldier, and so on and so on. I think he deserves his own movie. But he, of course, he portrays the character good. I don't see other person taking his place at this point. We also have Wyatt Russell as John Walker, the U.S. agent, making a comeback. He is more of an a-hole in this film than he was technically on the TV show and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But still, seeing him in the way that he's portrayed here, and also he's dealing with some emotional battles, some garbage that he's carrying of his own personal experience, his personal life, family life. All of that really portrays into his character and the way he is and his temper. We saw briefly the Taskmaster, the actress Olga Kurylenko. That is one thing that I would have loved to see her more in here, but for some reason, and I want to give you a spoiler, she just briefly, if you haven't watched the film, of course, briefly into the movie, and then she's gone. We also have Hannah John Kamen portraying the Ghost, which is a character that honestly I felt that I wanted to see more. Of course, if you coming back from the Ant-Man and the Wasp, that was the villain or sub-villain, because of course, as you know, the MCU, the Marvel never really have true villains. Back here, I think she has a lot more presence in some way, and I would have loved to see her more. Another great cast here is Louis Pullman as the Sentry, Bob Reynolds. Now, if you know the story of the Sentry, you know he's a very, very powerful being, more powerful than I would say anybody in the Marvel universe. But he cannot really control his power. Of course, he is the only one that can really put down the Hulk. If you have read the comics, you know the stories, then you know he's very powerful. However, he is an amnesiac by choice. Why? Because there is a dark side of him that is portrayed in this film also. They handled the Sentry and the Void so well in my book. The actor does a fantastic representation of Bob Reynolds. You see a guy that when you look at him, you don't expect much of him. But when he becomes that persona of the Sentry, or in this case also of the Void, he is a very powerful force of nature. What really makes the film shine to me, besides the strong characters, the strong actors and actresses that are part of it, is the mood. I feel that the director did a fantastic job in calibrating their personas and their attitudes and their behavior into the mood of the story. It feels a bit gray. Even the film itself is gray. Everything is gray because this film is dealing with a lot of emotional baggage. Every character here has come to this place and they are part of this team that pretty much came out of nowhere, not because they wanted to be part of it. And it's a counterpart of what the Avengers were. Of course, the Avengers are characters that didn't want to be part of each other, but ultimately they decide to be together for one common goal. And here, there's no common goal. It's all about survival. I feel that the characters are there to survive, first and foremost. The attacks of those who are against them or coming after them. But it's the survival, emotional survival. Like, you leash into somebody else because you need a reason to live. And that is pretty much what's happening in this story. The bad. Now it's time to talk about the bad. Of course, even though I enjoyed this film greatly with the action, with the comedy, with the banter, everything that it's there, I think, at the end of the day, it wasn't perfect. It's not perfect. Nothing is perfect in the world. And the biggest flaw for this film goes back to one thing that has permeated the Marvel universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a long time, and is the weak villain. And I will tell you, Julia Louis-Dreyfus as an actor, I like her. She's good. She has a comedic side. And she's been portraying Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, this character that has been moving along through the film. I think she was introduced, the first time we saw her was on Spider-Man Homecoming. And then she's been part of many other shows, and in a way or another, she's fine, but not necessarily the strongest villain. And that is something that I would say that the Marvel Universe has suffered a lot, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because it's hard to count, with all that many movies, there hasn't been that many memorable villains. And even the film tries to give her a little reasoning, give us a little reasoning of why she is the way she is, why she does the things she does. But ultimately, they don't feel those motivations that they're giving us as powerful motors for this person to be. Yes. What is the end game with this character? What is it that Marvel Universe is trying to do or been trying to do with this character? How she's going to be part of the story in the end? How that's going to work out? I'm not sure. I think that we all kind of wondering the same thing. How is it that she's able to move and pull the strings and all of those things that she does? It just feels a little bit gimmicky and played out in some way and not necessarily believable. This film is dealing with a lot of dark subject matter. It's dealing with a lot of issues and things that it's talking about that are deep and they are well connected and sometimes even hitting in all of us when it comes about depression, loneliness, the guilt, the desire to belong and purpose, all of those things. I feel that the movie touches them and it goes halfway through, but it doesn't execute the final blow, the final touch. So it holds its punches. Something that other films, even in the MCU, have done a much better job. One example, Guardians of the Galaxy. Perhaps they didn't want to imitate Guardians of the Galaxy or become the Guardians of the Galaxy 2.0. But I feel that the Guardians of the Galaxy was able to connect in those areas with the film, with the trilogy, but particularly the first film, where you really feel like you understand this character's deep rooted suffering and the rooted pain that they have. Of course, when you're dealing with that dark subject matter, sometimes it's hard to really, you don't want to come, too dark. You don't want to come out as too dready. You don't want to just feel like it's just the weight on the world on your shoulders when you're watching a movie. But you still want to kind of have resolution to the situation they're facing. And in some way, like as any other film, still as an MCU film, it feels that it feels more like a complete thing here, but it's still there is that open door for whatever is to come. And whether you like it or not, that is the way they manufacture in these films, in this production machine they have going. And for some people, that might feel like a little bit of a downer, something that it seems that now the MCU, the Marvel Universe, is doing more than ever, something that they didn't do at the beginning, where technically you felt that the movies were self-contained. Here, we don't see it that much, although I feel that this movie can stand in comparison to the previous films that we have seen, at least within past 5 years. In conclusion, what can I say? I enjoyed the film. I was surprised. You know, there were a lot of things that really caught me off guard. I came to this movie theater with low expectations. I came thinking that it would be just an enjoyable ride, a popcorn film, something that you can enjoy for the time. But it left a mark in my mind. You know, I'm still processing a lot of things that I watched there. I felt watching the film that it was different than a lot of the things that we have seen recently. And definitely, once you pretty much everything, the smoke passes, when everything is said and done, I feel that this film can stand alongside some of the best films in this franchise. It's about characters who in the end have to make choices. It's about characters that perhaps life has never been kind to them, but ultimately they make the choice to stand their ground and survive and do the right thing, even at the most horrible times. I feel that this movie is going in the right direction, and it's also pointing the possibilities for the MCU to go in the right direction. So if I have to give this film a final score, in my book, it's an 8.5 out of 10. Easily. It's a very enjoyable experience. It's a fun movie to watch. It does have emotional weight, which is important for me, at least when I watch films. I don't want to be detached of emotions. I want to enjoy the experience and also think about things in my own personal life and in the things that I see in the world. And I feel that it does it, and it does it in a way that it connects deeply with the audience. I feel that they manage it well, even through the flaws, even through the shortcomings. They still did it well. It's not going to replace the Avengers, but definitely they did a heck of a job with it. And at the end of the day, it's a better version of the Suicide Squad than the first Suicide Squad, and then the second version of Suicide Squad from the DC Extended Universe from Warner Brothers was. It's better. It's managed better. This is the film that they should have had over there, but they didn't. But ultimately, it is what it is, you know? What can I say? I think that Marvel continues to have home runs, and this is one, and really looking forward to Fantastic Four, even this film. If you wait for the after credits, there are two. There's one that is technically kind of follows the jokes in their film with the Red Guardian. Is the second one really gives us a hint of what is to come, and I would recommend that you watch it till the end, and definitely you can see now the Fantastic Four. It kind of gives us a lot of clues of what is it that they're trying to do with the Fantastic Four, how they want to introduce the Fantastic Four into this universe. We'll see how that plays out very, very soon. So my friends, what do you think about the film? Did you have fun with it? Did you watch it? You haven't watched it yet and you're waiting for that to be on Disney Plus? Let me know in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, to comment, and to subscribe. Hit the notification button so you're reminded of the next video. Follow me on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. The links are in the description. And please consider supporting the channel financially through Patreon. My friends, God bless. Take care. Talk to you again. Bye.